Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Improvised Vinyl Cafe, live at Second Story Theater in Port Coquitlam. Here's your host, Stewart MacLean.
Good evening, everyone. We're actually going to be doing things a bit differently than we normally do on the Improvised Vinyl Cafe. Partly for my own sake, partly for the sake of the improvisers, mostly for the sake that this is our 22. So we're going to keep things pretty loose tonight. So I'm not going to start with a monologue. And we're not going to be playing the same sort of games you might normally see at the Improvised Vinyl Cafe. Instead, no, I'd just like you to give a big, thunderous round of applause as we bring the improvisers to the stage. So if you would, please go down the line and introduce yourselves to our audience.
Rachel.
Yay!
Kennedy.
Ian.
Jameson.
And of course, what would the Improvised Vinyl Cafe be without live music? We have on guitar the beautiful and talented Brittney Grabill. She's going to be playing along with us, and we're going to be telling some stories. I'll be narrating, but the improvisers will also be playing characters. They'll be speaking to each other, which is very different from what you would normally see at the Improvised Vinyl Cafe. We're going to run until our time is up. And we're just going to get one suggestion off the start. So if I could, what is a very important event in a person's life?
Poetry reading.
We're going to go with poetry reading. And we're just going to riff off poetry reading, public speaking, poetry in general. Down the street from the Vinyl Cafe, there is an actual cafe. It's called Jazz on Elm.
Thank you all for coming tonight to Poetry Slam. Jazz. So I'm here today to host this wonderful event. I'll kick it off with a poem of my own, and then we'll get our special guest to come up and read. Mine is a free-written poem with no specific educational structure, and it goes, Bluebird, you're a part of nature. You fly so high in the sky, Bluebird. What you doing up there? And we have our first special guest of the evening to follow that. Keegan Fish. Keegan Fish, everyone. No.
This was Keegan's first appearance at Jazz on Elm. She traveled all the way in from Toronto, where she normally performed at the downtown jazz clubs. She was an up-and-comer, a big name about to get real big.
Bluebird. Fly so low in thy trees of
space, but you capture my eyes like it's no race. I see your feathers, how they shimmer like gold, but baby, you don't need to tell me, I've been told.
Keegan Fish had a penchant for lattes and writing poetry in the garden with a cat sleeping beside her.
I'd like to dedicate this one to my cat. Oh, Checkers. And my latte, cinnamon latte. Yo, Checkers, you are a cat that is like a feline. When you sit on my lap, I feel your fur see through my jeans, and I think that I must be in a dream.
Sitting in the audience that night was Stephanie. She'd been expecting to meet her boyfriend Tommy down the street, but he'd been held up in traffic and she'd come inside to seek shelter from the rain. This was the first time she'd ever been to a poetry slam. She was immediately taken with Keegan Fish.
This one is for my latte, cinnamon latte. Yo, steamed milk mixed with some tea, you or coffee, I say hee. But when I mix you with some cinnamon pleasure, you mix in my mouth like an eruption of heather.
Oh, I'm sorry. You gotta snap your fingers. Oh, of course.
Stephanie sat down in embarrassment.
Sorry, it's really moved. I was really moved by what you just said.
Whatever you feel, just next time feel it the right way.
Unable to say any more, Stephanie buried her face in her chai tea.
This next one's for all people who don't drink cinnamon lattes. Yo, chai tea, I smell you in the front there on that table. Who do you think you are? Just bear. If you don't have the cinnamon pleasure that erupts with heather in my mouth, then you ain't nothing but a scout that failed, that bear, scout. This is poetry. And for those who drink coffee, I don't know, but it's toffee because it makes my mouth sweet when I like to leak out words of things about coffee, but I don't drink it, only with steamed milk and cinnamon. Checkers.
Now, we're about to reach the open mic portion of the night. Is there anyone that wants to come up and try and riff? After Keegan, following Keegan, going right after Keegan.
Stephanie's hand tentatively rose into the air.
Yeah, chai latte? No, I saw your hand go up and you go with your instincts. You raise that hand. Raise it higher than that. God gave us elbows to extend them. Yes, close enough. Welcome to the stage, chai latte.
Juniper had managed Jazz on Elm for the past 2.5 years. And in that time, she had done her best to promote slam poetry in the neighborhood by holding these Thursday night open mic nights.
I'm happy to see a newcomer. You probably saw all of my posters or handbills.
I'm waiting for my boyfriend.
Your boyfriend probably saw my posters or my handbills.
Yes.
Stephanie looked Juniper up and down. From the hemp shoes she wore to the refugee-style pants and even to the dreadlocked hair. There was nothing about her that didn't shout counterculture. She was, in fact, everything Stephanie wasn't.
Like your Levi's jeans and your Gap t-shirt, it's all right. It's not what I do, but whatever.
Whatever. Actually, that
was a poem.
that was also a poem.
You're deep. You're much deeper than the Gap exterior that I can just see through my lenses of eyeballs.
I bought these jeans at Walmart. And I thought that they made me look smart. But now I see that real art is dirty.
Stephanie felt good at the reaction she got out of the crowd. And as she sat back up to the microphone again and the spotlight hit her, it was as if everything else in the room disappeared. It was as if all the eyes watching her weren't there. It was as if it was just her and the words.
Try not to.
Microphone. It's good to see you. We haven't met much before, but I feel like we could get along pretty well. We could have a good time. Talk to you, give me some feedback. I feel like out of place. I feel like a lot of us feel out of place a lot of the time. I feel out of place sometimes with Tommy. I don't know, he's so busy all the time and I don't see him. But I know that he loves me. And you guys probably love each other also, because it seems like...
It's open
No,
love here.
no. You know what? No. It doesn't seem like it's open love here. This seems like a not nice place.
What are you talking about, Chad? Tell us more of your black heart.
Stephanie was shocked at the terse words she used against these complete strangers, people she hadn't even known a half an hour ago. But she knew inside of her that there was something yearning to be said, that she knew what was right and what had to come out.
I think you're very cold and very young. And I think that for people who want to see inside of themselves, you don't see anything. You guys are really dumb. And you know what? I think you pride yourself a lot in your appearance. I can see that your hair is extremely shiny where it's not dreadlocked. And I think that as much as you like your cat checkers, you might like your cigarettes more.
Tell us more harsh truths, Chad Latte.
You know what? You know what? You guys may think you're having a good time, and if you are, then that's good for you. That's great. That's great. I'm happy that people are having a good time. But like, if I walk home and my little brother Sam shoots me with a Nerf gun, and I go ow, and he chases me around the garden for like an hour and a half, I'm pissed at him. Yeah, but like, I feel like you guys wouldn't do that. I feel like you wouldn't do that for Sam.
No, we don't use violence. Not even with foam guns.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get up here and yell at you guys. But that's kind of what you do. That's kind of what you do.
I feel like you want a hug. And I feel like I got one right here.
Stephanie stayed for another 25 minutes, watched another few people take the stage. She even tried a cinnamon latte. When Tommy finally showed up to take her home,
Hey.
Are you okay? I was really worried about you.
Yeah, I was driving around looking for parking, and then I couldn't find a place.
It's cool.
Did I miss anything?
No, everything was all right, actually. Maybe we should come back sometime.
I hear they have really good cinnamon lattes.
But right now, I kind of just want to go home.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I don't need to stay. If you want to go, we can go.
Okay.
Yeah?
Chai latte before you go. My house.
You sure I didn't miss anything?
I see you later, Hemp. I see you later. Then Keegan? Yeah. I see you later, Keegan.
We'll be back.
Sure. I'm not gonna put this on.
Just have to touch it. I like all my other poetry, which I wrote. I feel inspired to do this piece right on the spot. Leaving. We can all agree tonight's been a really special night here at the cafe. Vinyl.
Jazz on now.
Jazz on Elm. Jazz on Elm. This place has no concrete name. You can't name something that moves and breathes.
Though that is the name she had to put on the business license. Or rather, the name her father insisted she put on the business license.
We're not even on Elm Street. Before tonight, we have one other special guest for his poetry. He's a young man from the streets. Came off the streets. Lives in a house. And he's here to tell you. His name, Jonathan.
Jonathan was the definition of the problem child. He spent most of his life being dealt with the Ministry of Child and Family Development. And he bounced around from foster home to foster home, never knowing a place where he fit in, never finding an actual home.
Please, Jonathan.
They said the picket fence was where I was supposed to go. The roads where I flowed, they'd never know. Till I got to that house, and it was a fake. They took my soul, they took my heart. They drowned it in that lake. Mowed the lawn, cut the grass, used that damn rake. Still, my heart, my soul will break. I never had a birthday, I never had a funeral. Still, I stand here, looking at you all.
Jonathan didn't have much to pride himself on, except for his self-reliance. The fact that he knew that he could count on himself and no one else. In his 19 years, he led a rather harsh life. But inside, he still yearned for that welcome feeling of coming home.
Thrills, pills, lots of spills. With no skills, I It's in my mind, not by my side. Didn't teach me right, didn't teach me wrong. Billy used to smoke all day long. Cancer took his face, Lisa took his heart. Still I scream at this world, try and break me apart.
And at the end of the night, as Juniper was closing up, and Jonathan, as usual, was collecting up day-old pastries to take with him.
Go ahead. Take all the day olds. I only sell them for $1. Jonathan, do you really have no home to go to? Or are you just expressing something metaphorically? Like no place to put your heart?
I don't talk in metaphors. I say what's real and I say what's that.
You're talking in a metaphor right now, Jonathan. Are you just fooling me and messing with me?
I'd never mess with you.
Jonathan, you can have a home here.
Jonathan felt a pang in his heart. A sudden realization that the walls around him felt more than that. They felt warm. They felt comfortable. They felt loving. And so it was that on that fateful night in August, as the summer rains pelted against the windows, the tough young street kid found love and family in the eyes of a rebellious, trust fund 20-something. Now, Tommy had seen quite a few things in his 2 years at university up to this point. He'd been witness to frat hazings, and froshing, and even a few drum circles in the quad, but nothing quite like this.
This place is pretty cool.
I really don't know what to think. There's so much to experience here. It's just, it's a lot all at once.
I know, right?
I mean, I like it. I do like it. It's, I can sense.
I didn't.
I can sense that that's changed, though.
Yeah.
The world is a lot all at once.
I don't know. Maybe when you look out at someone and give them a hard time, you kind of ask to be given a hard time back.
That's so deep.
Yeah, it is amazing what you can sort of figure out for yourself if you just let your mind open up a little bit more than maybe what you do on a daily basis. Places like this, they can really help you to do that.
Hi, Jennifer. How you doing? Is it cool? Is it cool if we come back again? Oh my God! You know what we should do?
No,
You guys should come to a slam at my dad's record store.
Oh my God, totally cool. What's it called?
It's called the Vinyl Cafe. It's awesome. They love you.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, my dad's like super chill.
And yet, amidst all the camaraderie, amidst all the joy and the fun of the moment, Keegan felt separate. She felt apart. She knew that her relentless pursuit of her own career in the hard world of downtown Toronto slam poetry had left her alienated from these smaller communities, unable to connect to, as she would have put it, simple folk. But she felt that haughtiness starting to crumble and crack around her. And suddenly she remembered the little girl who grew up in Barrie, Ontario. The little girl who dreamed of writing great books of poetry that would be analyzed and read for hundreds of years to come. The girl who poured her heart out to little Mikey Swanson in her second grade class, and a Valentine's that she spent hours agonizing over. And when he read the words that she had spent so many hours crafting, and he just laughed. Well, that was the first time she'd had her heart broken. And it wasn't the last. And every time it had broken, it had mended anew. And the seams made it feel stronger, harder, and tougher. And now, looking within herself, to a heart crisscrossed with scars, a road map of heartache, she realized that she had in fact created an iron cage around her emotions. She would let them out on her terms, but she wouldn't let anyone else in. Until that moment, when Stephanie handed her the microphone.
My heart is the same as a cat's heart, like Checkers. Checkers, you are my own love that I love so much. And my heart beats like a rush, rush, rush of a river that I never had in my life before, 'cause I didn't give her enough to let anybody into my heart. But I know from the very start that I saw you, Checkers, on my bedroom bed. I love you. Yes, you stood there with your hair and your fur everywhere, but I knew that you were the one too true to be mine. Checkers, you're mine. Oh, Checkers, I don't care about that guy in grade 2 that broke my heart into 2, but he was not you, Checkers. I feel free now.
Keegan had always considered it ironic that she'd named her cat after the dog owned by Richard Nixon. It was a joke amongst her and her other friends, her downtown Toronto friends. Acquaintances, really.
You named your cat Checkers?
Yeah,
That's so cute. Is he black and white?
yeah.
We have a black and white cat named Bitey.
Cool.
Tommy said as he exposed his forearm to show the bite marks from this morning.
Not just a clever name.
Right. That's a cool cat, man. Yeah, it's a cool cat.
He's just trying to express himself the way a cat knows how.
It's cool. Calling her. I do like that.
Oh, I'm not down on her. She's great. I don't mind the odd bite.
Why don't you bring your cats here and we can make this place all of them?
Cat.
Really?
Okay, I don't get everything about you guys either.
Oh,
But that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
part of the love
It's
the
a-
mystery of the human being.
Yeah, that.
It's a musical.
I'm sorry. I make you watch this every year. But I think it's really starting to sing.
I only listen to the music of the world.
I listen to the music of my cat's heart beating.
I want to hear that.
I listen to the music of Tommy's car coming home in the driveway.
Listen to some music here, and it's great. I mean, you were great, and I heard you too. You were fantastic. And I heard you. I haven't heard you. I can't wait to.
No, that's okay.
You guys all come from such different walks, but you all have the same passion for the same thing. It comes out in different ways. For somebody like me on the outside to see that, it's great. It's a powerful thing. I'm just happy to be here.
You're on the inside, man.
Thank you.
And one by one, they all shared the music they felt within themselves.
It's your interpretive dance.
Hell yeah.
Even Tommy began to loosen up. It had been a long day, and Stephanie was tired. They were all tired at that point.
It's been a long time. We've been up for a long time.
Feels that way.
And so
23 hours.
Tommy and Stephanie left together to drive home. They bid a temporary farewell to their new friends.
Oh, cell phone. Cell phone. You have a cell phone, don't you?
No.
Knowing that they would be
I'll
back
be back.
at next week's open mic.
Thanks very much.
And as they drove home, and Stephanie's head rested on Tommy's shoulder, Tommy turned off the radio, which had been playing lowly, and instead rolled down the window of his old Chevy Nova. And he felt the cool night breeze blowing into the cabin of the car. And as they passed through the residential addresses, and they picked up the scent of Lily of the Valley, Tommy stuck his hand outside of the window and rode the air currents. And he felt himself so far from his own family. The girl he'd only known for a year and a half. driving down unfamiliar streets that became a bit more familiar each time he passed through them. He felt inside himself a new home starting to grow. Except it wasn't a home of a fixed address. It was the home of a beautiful girl who laid her head on his shoulder to sleep as he drove. And as Jonathan walked down the streets to catch the last bus back downtown so he could spend the night at a hostel, he thought about what he had found here. Thought about the years of wandering, of searching, of not having. And now, his days of finding. Pardon me. And as Keegan sat on the queen-size bed in her studio apartment, with checkers winding her way across her legs, trying to find the perfect place to settle down. She looked over at her bookshelf. And she picked out a tome she hadn't read in years. A selection of love poems by the great romantics. And as she reread the dog-eared pages and rediscovered that youthful optimism and hope of love, she could feel the scars of her heart fading. The iron bars rusting and breaking. Her own cage opening. And as a single tear rolled down her cheek, Checkers reached out, as if knowing how she felt, and licked away the salty wetness with her rough pink tongue. And Juniper, half asleep in her living room, with a mug of nettle leaf tea held haphazardly in her right hand. And as she moved to the sounds of the music of her own soul, a soul which seemed to be turned to 11. She felt that need to share it with others. Knew that desire to be a bright and shining star in a world so dreary and dark. And as her mind settled, her body followed suit. And half asleep, she draped her grandmother's Afghan over her. So. And turned in for the night. Thank you. I think we're all feeling it. Please get the improvisers to sing. Well, I'd like to thank you all for coming to see the Improvised Vinyl Cafe. We're performing again tomorrow, if you can believe that.
I can't.
I believe 11 in the morning? Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Something along those lines.
12.
Graham?
Yep.
Around that time. The details of the schedule are available on the website.
And they're all over the theater too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Around for the whole show and you'll see him.
You could do that as well. We're not going anywhere.
11 a.m. Stewart.
As much as you might like. Thank you, Graham.
You're welcome.
Well, I'd also like to thank Connor Chambers for the technical assistance. All of our very gracious volunteers at the theater, too many to name in this Improvathon. Brittney Grabill is our special musical guest. And once again, your improvisers. Ian McMurray is the human dynamo. Kennedy Kirk is our resident teddy bear. Rachel Tom is our official slam poet. Julia Lank is my long-suffering story editor. And Jameson McCormack is Jameson McCormack.